Hey there.
Good to see you.
I forgot his name. You know what? You so great.
All right, folks. Hey, we're getting ready to start here. Thank you all for coming today. We even have our horses here. Thank God we're covered with the horses. But thank you for coming out on a cold November day. Thankfully, it's not like Thursday raining and snowy, so we lucked out a little bit. But first thing we're going to do, just on coincidence, I was just going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. And by the grace of God, the Greater Cleveland Chorus emailed me and said, hey, we'd like to do some Christmas events this year. Can we do some caroling with the police? And I said, hey, you don't by chance sing the National Anthem? And here they are. So we're going to do the National Anthem. All right, you ready? Please stand.
Uniform officers, oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, ladies. That was awesome. I want to thank a few people for coming today. Obviously, Mayor Jackson for taking the time out of his day today. Safety Director McGrath is here, which is awesome. Our Councilman President Kevin Kelly, Councilman Casey, Councilman Griffin. We got Deputy Chief McCauley, and the Chief is here today, which is very thankful for that. Judge Pinky Carr is here. Thank you, Judge. Our Cleveland Police Patrolmen's Association, our Black Shield is represented today, and Manny Velez from our Hispanic Police Officers Association. So thanks for that. Also for our Cleveland Police Foundation board. The Cleveland Police Foundation owns this park, and we have to maintain it. So in the back here we have a sign-up sheet. If anyone would like to volunteer, put your name on there. I'd love to be able to call you and say, hey, I'm going to cut the grass and I need some help. And then come over and help me cut the grass. So anyone who would like to sign up, that would be great. But I want to thank our board members, Jimmy Creation, Rich DeChant, Woods King, Steve Anthony, and our man about town, our outreach guy, Bob Gutu. You guys are awesome. Thanks for being here. So welcome to Officer Derek Owens Memorial Park. If you knew Derek, I think you'd agree that like Derek, this park isn't big, but it is mighty and has a ton of personality. Although the actual construction of this park has taken about 6 months, this project has been 4 years in the making. The idea of the project started right here during a community cleanup of the neighborhood. Kim Fields, our neighbor and our former employee of the St. Luke's Foundation, and I had a conversation about the area and about all the vacant lots. Kim reminded me that this was the site of Derrick's shooting and that it would be nice to construct some type of memorial for Derrick. We then took that idea to our friend at St. Luke's, Nelson Beckford, who is one of the most insightful people I know. Rather than just a memorial, we thought it would be better to create a space that is vibrant like Derrick. So the concept of building a park was born. Once we received the blessing from Derrick's family, we then met at St. Luke's with the family, the Western Reserve Land Conservancy, Land Studio, and the 4th District, and started talking about what we wanted the park to look like. We decided the park should be a reflection of Derrick and came up with the ideas you see here today. Derrick was a father and loved children, so he wanted a section for kids to play. Derrick valued education, both of his parents educators. Derrick had his bachelor's degree from the University of Akron and was posthumously awarded his MBA from the University of Phoenix. So we included a little free library so children could read and have access to free books. As a police officer, Derrick served his community, so we thought a section for the community to meet would be important. So the section behind you with all the benches, that's for us to meet with the public, maybe block club meetings, bring kindergartners in here and read to them and have a good time, create some positive interactions with the children. Derrick was a man of God. So we created this spiraling labyrinth, which you can't see from here, but if you look in your program, you'll see it from overhead. It's a pretty awesome view from overhead. The spiraling labyrinth we're on right now is a symbol of man's search for a higher consciousness or God. They are a place of reflection and prayer. Derrick was a loving family man with a wife and 2 young children. The area over here to my right has 4 pine trees representing him, his wife, and his 2 children. At the top of the sidewalk is the shape of a pendulum, a symbol of the passing of time and the importance of living our life to the fullest. On the pendulum sits 3 sandstone benches created from the porch of one of the houses that were torn down. The benches are for his wife Erica, his children Chandler and Sydney. The middle section, the Serpentine Mound, is not only for kids to run and play on, but mounds like these in ancient times were used as burial sites and symbolize man's journey from birth until death. So as you can see, a lot of thought and effort and a lot of creativity went into making Derrick's Park a meaningful place and a meaningful space. A place for thought, for fun, for community, family, and for enriching minds. I want to thank everyone for taking the time out of your day to come out for this dedication and honoring Derrick and his family. In the May of 2020, we're going to have a grand opening. We still have a couple more additions to the park, and we hope to see you there. The spring hopefully will bring us a little more grass, a little more leaves, and a little more flowers. So thank you for all coming. We have a little change in our program. Mr. Owens asked that he speak last. He doesn't want everyone to cry through the whole ceremony. So we're gonna bring in Mayor Jackson first. And I want to thank the mayor for all his support. With the permit process, his employees down the street have been absolutely awesome. Dobbins Maintenance Facilities down the street, and they drive up and down. Every time I'm here, they stop, they talk, they honk, they wave. It's been a great reception from the city of Cleveland, and we appreciate that. So, Mayor.
You know, everything that we do and we do well and we're successful at, we do as a community. And it's that community spirit that really distinguishes Cleveland and Clevelanders from other people. And this is an example of that. The community has come together for this purpose. It's come together for this purpose to recognize the life of someone who we've all begun to hold dearly to us and in some way have that connection. And so I want to really thank all the people and organizations who made this possible, because, and Captain Sosa, who was very good at coordinating and getting people to do things together. So again, welcome everybody to Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Ken Johnson had knee surgery, so he couldn't be here. He sends his, he's very much involved with this project. The permit process through the city of Cleveland is a tough one to get through because you have to go through so many levels of the community. And Councilman Johnson has championed this project since the beginning. One of the first things we did on this project was we had a community cleanup. Councilman Johnson donated a dumpster for that. and he has been awesome. And later on, he did something else for me that was really appreciated, but we'll mention that later. Our next speaker will be Council President Kevin Kelly, representing City Council.
Thank you, Captain. It is wonderful to be here with you today. This park represents a lot of the great things that it represents the greatness of Cleveland, and it's certainly symbolic of a great public servant that we lost. And as wonderful as it is, I understand that it doesn't make up for the loss of Derek Owens. So I just want the family to know that this community really appreciates what you've given to this community more than most ever will. So thank you. And when we do the cadet graduation ceremony, you address the young cadets, and there's a time I said, I thank them for answering the call to public service. And we're all public servants. And I always remember, though, that the difference is that when you're a police officer, when you're a first responder, my wife never wonders whether I'm coming home. Yes, our jobs are tough. Yes, we answer the call. But when you are in this line of work, it is always that fear, that threat is there. And while this beautiful park can never make up for the loss that happened, I hope, if nothing else, it sends a message that we care about those that have given for the city of Cleveland. So thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. Thank you to the Owens family, and thanks to Captain Salzer and everybody that made this possible. Captain, you recognize our colleagues, Blaine Griffin and Brian Casey, and all of council, all of the city really appreciates the great sacrifice. So thank you for allowing me to be here today.
Thank you, Councilman. Next up will be Chief Calvin Williams. The chief has been very supportive of this process, and he has allowed me to do this. I can't thank him enough for putting me with the Cleveland Police Foundation and allowing me to get out and do these kind of projects. Cops don't get to build things in their lives. They build relationships, they build trust, but they don't get to build something like this. And I want to thank him for allowing the 30 or more officers that have come out here and actually got their hands dirty and had a chance to build something. Because every one of them can come out and they can drive down the street and they say, hey, that's something I built. Watching this whole process and helping with the labor unions, I was a little envious of the fact that they get to actually see what they do at the end of the day. And so I want to thank the chief for allowing this to happen and allowing us the time to do this. Chief.
Thanks, Keith. Good morning. Good morning, folks. This is indeed an honor and a pleasure to be here standing on this ground today. As the captain stated, this is not a memorial. This is a place of celebration, and Derek would have wanted it that way. Definitely wanted people to come here, have fun, enjoy themselves. So in that spirit, say hi to somebody next to you. At least say, hi, how you doing, good morning, or something.
High up there.
Right. Thank you. That's what this park's all about. That's what this is all about. This is about us coming together and being neighborly, being friendly, talking to each other, enjoying each other's company. I want to thank the Cleveland Police Foundation. I want to thank Mayor Jackson, the administration, the folks at City Hall that supported this from day one. Captain Salzer, I can't say enough for Keith and what he does for this community and as our representative of the Cleveland Police Foundation. But I want to thank the contractors, the people who donated, the people who came here and worked, the people who just sent a letter saying this is a great idea. I want to thank you all for what you did to make this possible today. This is a great thing. I really wish that this spurs us to duplicate this and in somebody's honor somewhere in this city another 50 or 100 times. We have the space to do it in this city. I think we have the will to do it. We have the support to do it. But parks like these should pop up everywhere in this city from now on. And knowing that the memory of Derek spurred that, I think would be a great testament to the family, Mr. and Mrs. Owens, Erica, the kids. I love you guys to death. This is for Derek, and this is for us to celebrate his life. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next, we're going to hear from Commander Cutts. Commander Brandon Cutts is the 4th District Commander. He was in the planning process from the beginning, him and Captain McEntee. They gave tremendous input and reflection on what we're doing here today. And Brandon, every time I asked, his men were out here. John Boomis, Jamuska, Sergeant Ray O'Connor, anytime I called them, they were out here protecting the equipment if it was left out here. They were keeping an eye on the workers. They were stopping by. John Boomis actually came out and he helped me cut the grass the other day. The guy's awesome. Devin Wynn came out and with his, he has a $4,000 drone that he'd fly overhead, and some of these shots, the overhead shots, he got me. So the 4th District has been extremely supportive of this process and this park, and Brandon.
I'm not going to say I'm talking a long time, but get comfortable. Good morning. On behalf of the men and women of the 4th District, I want to thank you all for coming out here today and dedicating this wonderful park. The officers of the 4th District are honored and proud to have played a small part in the creation of this space, and we look forward to our role as a partner as we take care of this park into the future. As always, we also want to extend our continued respect, dedication, and love to the Owens family. They're an amazing group of people, a source of inspiration to myself and many others I know. This park is just a small manifestation of who they are as a family. They're wonderful people. I also want to thank the 4th District community for making this place possible. To Kim Fields in particular, and to the Parkview neighborhood in general, I want to thank you for your passion, your drive, and your partnership. Couldn't do this without you. Speaking of community partnerships, I also want to thank the good people at the St. Luke's Foundation, Ann Goodman, Monique Kelly, and the Cleveland Foundation, Nelson Beckford. They all deserve heaps of respect for their generosity and dedication to this neighborhood and the 4th District. Both foundations have given us amazing opportunities to make great things happen here that we couldn't have done without them. I want to tip my cap to the partners in this whole process that were here with us from the beginning of the project. David Wilson from Land Studio for his design of this space, Jay Westbrook and Jacqueline Gillen from the Western Reserve Land Conservancy, Angela Bennett from the Cleveland Police Foundation, and from the 4th District, Captain McEntee, who was part of the planning process, and Sergeant Ray O'Connor, who coordinated a lot of our law enforcement efforts as the construction process went on. So thank you all. I also want to give my personal thanks to all the organizations and people that dedicated their time and resources to make this park possible. I'm thrilled there's so many of you that I wouldn't even dare try to name you all because I know I'm going to miss people. But your generosity is truly appreciated by everybody here. To the folks at the Cleveland Police Foundation, I want to thank you for being a great partner to the 4th District and our community. Your mission is righteous, your hearts are big, and your efforts are commendable. You are an asset to the Division of Police and to the community of the city of Cleveland. And finally, I think we'd all still be sitting around the planning table if it wasn't for the efforts of Captain Salzer. He was the project manager, the conductor, the field general who took it from an idea to an actual park. And don't misunderstand me at all. He may have been the conductor of the band, but he was also running around trying to play all the instruments too. Every time I stop by here, every single time I stop by here to see what's going on, he was here, digging holes, building things, watering, planting, talking, giving tours. He may have been living here, actually. You need a place to stay, Keith? You okay? All right. Well, thank you. You have my thanks and my respect. We couldn't have done this without you, and I appreciate you very much. Again, my thanks to everybody for coming out today, and my thanks for everybody who helped make this park possible.
Next to speak is Commander Johnson. Commander Johnson's commander of the Bureau of Community Relations. He's allowed me to do this. He's allowed all his officers, which are right back over here, that helped me set up today. But all these guys somehow have a hand in the dirt of this project, and I'm sure they're gonna thank be thankful of that someday when they pass by this park. When they get old like me, after 30 years, they're going to see something that they built. So I think he's been awesome. Sergeant Higgins, Lieutenant Maffo have actually helped out here, and I appreciate all their help. So Johnny, you want to say something?
Thank you, Keith. First of all, good morning. Good morning. As Captain Salter said, my name is Johnny Johnson. I'm the commander of the Bureau of Community Relations. I know it's cold and we're getting toward the end, so I promise I'm going to be short, which is kind of easy for me, but that's okay. All right. So some of you may not know, but Derek actually started his career in the 5th District. That's where I met him. He was this young rookie that was just like full of this infectious energy. He was always laughing, he was always smiling, and one thing was for certain, you always wanted to be around him. So I find it fitting that we're dedicating a park to his honor, a place where there's going to be plenty of laughs, plenty of smiles, and just a place where you just want to be. Now, as the commander of the Bureau of Community Relations, one of my main jobs is to find ways in which community and officers can come together and not only solve problems, but to coexist, to have fun, to just be together as a community. This park embodies that mission in community relations. It will bring the smiles, it will bring the laughs, it will bring the community and the officers together, just coexisting and being a community. This fence around the park also embodies what we do in community relations and what our mission is. It's there to keep the kids safe. The little free libraries, of course, it's an opportunity for kids to learn, to grow, to imagine, and to just have fun. So this place, like Derek, is going to bring us lots of smiles, lots of laughter. And to the Owens family, we truly love you guys, and we hope we dig ahead. Thank you.
Next, I'm going to call up 4 of our partners, if they can come up all at once to be together and then speak. Kim Fields. Kim Fields is a neighbor across the street. She's the one who actually gave us the idea for this park, and she is the champion of this neighborhood. She's a champion of the people, and I love Kim. She's a dear friend. Rich Cochran from the Western Reserve Land Conservancy. Ann Goodman from St. Luke's. St. Luke's has given a ton of grants to the 4th District for fixing up their building, for a cultural regeneration program. They've given tons of money to the police, and they support our programs, and they have one of the bigger donations here. And then Nelson Beckford, who used to work for St. Luke's to my benefit and then went to Cleveland Foundation. So he gave money twice, which is awesome. So these are 4 of the champions of this project, so thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you all for being here. In spite of the cold temperatures, this is just amazing. I just wanted to say thank you to each and every person that was a part of this project. It's just so amazing and so overwhelming to have the officers and the community to work together on such a project, given that they lost one of their own in the line of duty. To me, on behalf of the community, that means that you guys trust us, that you believe in us, and you think we deserve the very best. And I can't describe words on how to thank you for that.
Hi, my name is Rich Cochran from Western Reserve Land Conservancy, and we could not be more honored or privileged to be here. I've had the pleasure of working on the creation of over 170 public parks and preserves in my career, and this is the best story out of those 170. It's an amazing, amazing accomplishment for this community. You know, as I stand here today, I can't help but imagine a phoenix rising out of the ashes of the foreclosure crisis, which laid waste to many neighborhoods in Cleveland and across America. And in 2008, when Derrick was tragically killed, that was the height of the foreclosure crisis, and vacancy was overrunning our city. And today we have tens of thousands fewer vacant homes in our city thanks to so many partners who have made that happen. And all of a sudden, we have this nutrient-rich environment growing out of the ashes of that terrible crisis that we faced in our city. And this blossoming of this park, we're going to watch the neighborhood blossom right around it. And we're going to watch the kids blossom right around it. And it's so exciting for us. I can't wait to do 50 to 100 more of them. We're working on at least 7 or 8 right now, very similar projects across the city, including 5 in these neighborhoods. So it's really special to be here. We also have a special gift for the family. A local artist named Chuck Del Papa did this beautiful painting. So we got one for your family. And the same one for you. And I know you're gonna have a hard time carrying it, so we'll carry it for you. Thank you, everybody, so much, and thanks to all of our partners again.
It's cold, so I'll be brief. Just really 3 things. One, on behalf of the staff of the Cleveland Foundation and board, it's an honor to be a part of this project. The second thing, thank you, Owens family. Thank you, 4th District. This has been a personal joy to lock arms with my friend Keith Sulzer, Kim Fields, David Wilson, folks that really believe in what they do, and it's been an honor to be a part of this. And last thing, this is a beautiful experience. Thank you, Owens family. Thank you, D4. Thank you for being a part of this.
Good morning, everyone. I too will be brief. I am the CEO of the St. Luke's Foundation, and some people have mentioned gratitude for money, and that's great. But this space, this moment, this tribute is not about money. It is about the effort and love and hard work of so many important people. And I mean important, all of us. Captain Salter mentioned that someone helped him mow the lawn and he was grateful. Really? He was mowing the lawn too. And he doesn't, I don't think, realize just how his gifts impact the neighborhood. But we've got a lot of thanking to do, and most importantly, we've got honoring Officer Owens. But there are some people who have not yet been recognized, I don't think, as much as they should. And that is the people of the 4th District. It is amazing, these officers. Everything from keeping us safe, to making a little free library, to connecting with residents in a really authentic way. We have so much to be grateful here. And the other thing, I was thinking as I was driving in, this is everything that is good about Cleveland. This is honoring, this is celebrating, this is creating green space, really important, impactful green space. But this is a great moment and says so much about this neighborhood and the people that are committed to this neighborhood. And I learned so much by even watching from an arm's distance, being taught by Nelson Beckford, who is behind me and you heard from, about the importance of all this was an eye-opener. And you don't all get to stand up here and see my vantage point, which is all of the different people that make a difference and that care enough to be here. And the reason, the big bummer about us all being here is that you can't see all of the park. But hopefully we'll have a drone picture soon of all of us. But Kim Fields has been mentioned as well, and she was indeed the person who called this terrible event in. But she's also the person who led us in turning this into something positive. She is the best this neighborhood has to offer, and she's not the only one. So my biggest message coming out of here is the 4th District deserves recognition. And we support you, we love you, we appreciate you, and we will keep needing to rely on you for so many things. And thanks for giving us a day to celebrate how great you are.
Thank you. Last but not least to speak is Mr. Wayne Owens. And this family has gone through a lot in the last 11 years. And I know this is a tough thing for them, that when they first came in, we talked about it, I know it was a tough thing for them to say yes to, but I'm glad they did. I think this is a deserving memorial to your son. And Mr. Owens, you guys have been gracious and wonderful in this whole process, and I appreciate almost every time I was here, one of you guys showed up and said hi. So it was great to see. And Mr. Owens, you want to come up and talk to the people?
Good morning. This is my support group behind me. I'd like to introduce them. These are our grandsons. I'll start with the youngest. This is Landon Watterson, and this is his brother Gavin Watterson. They're all the way here from Concord, North Carolina. When Gavin got off the car last night, he said, "My God, it's cold here. How do you do that?" And Gavin and Landon have a few words they'd like to say, but I'm going to let my oldest grandson introduce himself. I'm going to see how he introduces himself.
Hi, I'm Chandler Owens.
No, we've got to go back over this once again. Chandler, I really want you to introduce yourself, your whole name.
Hi, I'm Chandler Wayne Owens.
First of all, I just want to, again, thank all of you for being here, and I'll end it with that also. A few years ago, Bob Rinder, who's standing over here, saw me at church, and he told me that there's a lady named Kim Fields who wants to talk to you about possibly honoring your son with a project. And I didn't know what that project was at that time. And then I called Kim, and we talked, and she told me about wanting to have a project honoring our son with a park. And I asked a little more about it, and she said, well, that park would be actually where this incident took place. And I was kind of leery about that. I just didn't know how that would go with our family. But then I found out, again, how strong of a family we have, especially the women in our family. And when I talked with them, they said, yes, this would be the place that he should be honored. What was perceived as a negative of having it possibly here was what happened here. It turned out to be very positive, and in many respects redemptive, because as you look around you now, it is very positive and very redemptive. And it's a memorial to Derrick. That something will stand here over a long period of time. When I think about Derrick, I think about him in the sense that he was a son, he was a father, he was a husband. Also, he was a brother to his little muffin baby. He was a son-in-law. He was a friend. He was a partner. And most of all, he's a child of God. And so we thank you for this opportunity to honor him. I'd just like to once again thank those who have been the original partners with us, and I hope I don't miss anybody. Thanks to the Cleveland Foundation, thanks to the Cleveland Police Foundation, thanks to Land Studio, thanks to Western Reserve Land Conservatory, and I hope I haven't missed it, St. Luke's Foundation. And especially I'd like to thank also Captain Saltzer and Kim Fields, who had the vision to do this, and as you say, Captain Saltzer, who's one of the key ingredients of getting the park built, and also for our architect who's standing here, Mr. Bickerstaff. Thank you also, sir. There are a number of organizations, people who have put their time into this, and you've seen them in Captain Salter's Wood, I think, in this, in terms of talking about those particular folks. Our goal as a family is not to just thank people individually with letters or cards and so forth, but our goal, and we're going to do it, is to actually meet and greet those folks who have volunteered, and so that we want to thank them personally. I'm sure some of you are standing right here whom we don't even know, but that is our goal. It would mean so much to us, and I know it would mean that to Derrick. So I'm going to introduce my grandsons, who have a few words, and then I'll just have a few words just before we leave. And so the first person is Landon Watterson, all the way here from Concord, North Carolina. He has a few words he'd like to say.
My name is Landon Watterson. Derek Owens was a great man. He was a brother, a father, a husband, and a son, my uncle, and a fallen hero. Derek Owens will be remembered for all of those things. We are here to honor the memory of Derek Owens. I think this park is cool because little kids can look up to my uncle. This park is full of good and no bad. May he rest in peace and amen.
Hi, my name is Gavin Derek Watterson, and I want to tell you a few things about my uncle. I'm going to share with you something that I wrote about my uncle for a school project. The project was to write about something that makes you who you are today. And this is what I wrote. A few months before I was born, my uncle died. He was a police officer, and he died from complications from a gunshot. His partner thought he saw a drug deal, so they went to investigate. The people ran away, so they chased them. The person my uncle was chasing had a gun. He turned around and shot him. My uncle died the day after. I never got to meet him, but from all the stories my mom tells me about him, he was a good man, and I strive to be just like him. Some things my mom tells me about him are he was funny, he loved to joke around, he liked to dance, and he loved people. He worked hard for his family and often had more than one job. He had wanted to be a police officer ever since he was a kid. He even gave my mom a ticket. My mom thinks that he would visit me when I was a baby because I would be in a room by myself and I would just burst out laughing for no reason. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed my talk about my uncle, and I always strive to be just like him.
As I conclude, 11 years ago, many of you were standing right here, I didn't know. So, we thank you as a family for all that you've done for us. You really don't know how much it means to us to see something like this going on here right now. So as we leave, we just ask you to, we continue to say about officers who've gone in the line of duty to never forget, please, never forget.
Thank you, sir. And for any parents out there, this is why you teach your children to read well, because these kids need it, and that's why we have these little free libraries. I love the sound of the kids playing in the background while you're speaking. I think that's a fitting moment. But on behalf of the Owens family and myself, I have to go through a long list, and I apologize. I know it's cold, but I can't leave here without thanking all these people that have helped. There has been about 200 people that have had their hands in this park. And this is a park that truly the community built. You know, if we would have raised $250,000 and just paid somebody to build this park, it would not have meant as much as it does because we built this park. and when I go through this list, you'll see. But I want to thank the Owens family. You've all made me cry at one point in this process. Mrs. Owens talking to the steering committee, Mr. Owens at your first meeting. Erica came up here once all by herself. It was the first time she'd ever come by herself. And she got to meet one of the cement contractors, Barry DeJulius. And it was an awesome moment because she told us that she'd always had to have somebody with her. And because of this park, she was able to come by herself. And, you know, for me, you're making me cry just looking at you. To me, that was a great moment because it meant that we made an ugly, tragic place beautiful for you. And that's all I needed to make this worthwhile. But the Owens family, you've been awesome. Cleveland Police Foundation, thank you very much for allowing us to do this. You know, the Cleveland Police Foundation, we're a small foundation. We are young, and when I came here with them and say, hey, we got to do this, I'm sure they were thinking I was out of my mind because we own it, we got to maintain it, and forever. The city of Cleveland is not going to maintain this park. So thank you for believing in this project. You probably didn't think it was going to actually have an end, but it did have an end. So thankfully, you guys have given the okay for this. Kim Fields, obviously, you're awesome. Nelson Beckford, you're more awesome. Ann Goodman, your St. Luke's Foundation has been a great source of resources for our officers in the 4th District and for this. Western Reserve Land Conservancy, Jay and Jackie. Jay Westbrook, he was dying for me to pick up these giant slabs of sandstone over here. Each one weighs about 500 pounds, and of course I had no other way to lift them, so I had to do it myself. But Jay, you didn't kill me, and you will not kill me. But Jay's been awesome. Yeah, thanks. Jay's been awesome. He's been a great source of information. I can't thank you enough. County Land Bank in the city of Cleveland. Yeah, these two properties. One was a city lot, two were land bank lots. We got them for $500. So that's a heck of a deal. And you know, they've been awesome through the process. Land Studio, David Wilson. When we first met with the family, David Wilson kind of drew something up, and that's basically what we have here, is his original design, which was terrific. IOB, Don Arrington. IOB is in your backyard, and it's a crowdfunding source. We were able to raise $7,000 through that, so that was terrific. 4th District, we've already talked about them. Community Relations, we talked about them. Johnny Johnson, Councilman Johnson's been awesome. Cleveland Browns. On a whim, I just emailed a friend of mine, John Frayne, who's the director of security of the Browns. I said, hey, we're doing this project, can you help us? 2 days later, Jennifer Tukancic called me and said, we'll give you $30,000 to build a place up. Cleveland Browns, the struggle stopped today. So tomorrow I guarantee a win. We've got good karma now. Dan Bickerstaff. Dan took that design, that drawing, and he designed what we see here today. And so I want to thank Dan, Ubiquitous Design, and Dan also did the African American Cultural Garden. So he did an awesome job on this. Thank you, Dan, for all the hard work. I can't believe all the work that architects have to do. Just putting those forms and all that together is pretty amazing. Down to Earth Landscaping, Adam Rustler. Adam Rustler's grandfather was Ray Rustler, who was one of the founders of the Cleveland Police Patrolmen's Association. So Adam did all the landscaping. He donated a whole ton of stuff. He did an awesome job. All those rocks in front, he didn't even realize he donated them. One of his employees, when we first bought the property, I wanted to make sure nobody could drive up here and dump. So I asked a friend of mine, Dan Blasey, who worked for Adam, if we could get some rocks to put in front. And he did that. And when I met Adam up here, I said, hey, thanks for the rocks. He said, I didn't even know I gave them to you. So it was very nice. New Vista Landscaping and Support. Cleveland Public Power. One of the things we had in the design was a lot of lighting, which, if you know Cleveland Parks, lighting's not good because then people hang out in the nighttime. We don't want that. We don't want to bother the neighborhood. I talked to Cleveland Public Power. They put that street light over the pole to give the park light. So that not only was that a donation, but now the Cleveland Police Foundation does not have to pay utility bill. So that's an awesome help. So Cleveland Public Power is another one. Ozan Construction, Dominic Ozan and Fred Rogers. They were the original contract. They were originally contractors, but they gave me the confidence to do this. And you know, he said, "Hey, you did a lot of it." I said, "Well, just having them in the background, knowing that I could, if I had a problem, I could go to them, that was enough." So Ozan Construction, thank you. Turner Construction, Hitomi. Hitomi did an awesome job, and I appreciate all her help. Independence Excavating, Bobby Geronimo. I just called him, said, "Hey, I need some excavation done." This is about $25,000 in excavation for this whole project. He did it for free. And then on top of that, his brother-in-law is from Kurtz Brothers. I needed 150 yards of dirt. Kurtz Brothers donated 150 yards of dirt for free. So, I mean, it just goes on and on. Our unions, I cannot, the Brotherhood of Carpenters. The Brotherhood of Carpenters is, Jimmy Parsons is here, but is another guy, Bill. They built a bunch of libraries for me, little free libraries. So they were the first ones I said, "Hey, can you build a little free library that looks like an old-fashioned call box?" They built it, so now I had to get it painted. So I said, "Hey, I need somebody to paint it." So they hooked me up with Nicole and Mike Bay from the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades. They painted it. They put all the lettering on it. Then they took the fence that's out there, that wrought iron fence. They sandblasted it. They painted it. They came 2 days ago. With 22 apprentices, they painted the whole fence again for me. Awesome. Not only that, but Nicole's daughter donated a whole bunch of books for our little free library. So it's been a tremendous process through the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades. Sherwood Williams donated the paint for that fence. The cement masons. All this concrete was free. This project right here, it was a lot of money. $12,000 in concrete from Tech Ready Mix, but all this for free is probably $70,000 worth of work. Barry DeJulius, Chuck Wannett, who's here, Paul Metcalf, Mike Walters. They had, at one time, we were laid about 30 yards of concrete, and we had officers out there helping, and they had about 30 masons out here, journeymen and apprentices, just pouring concrete, and it was kind of a cool sight. I screwed up on one thing in this park. I'll admit it. I made those the bases for the benches too short, and so they're concrete. And they have the benches have to go into the concrete, and if they're too short, I'm in trouble, right? I talked to the cement masons. They hooked me up with the iron workers. The iron workers came out. They took the benches. They cut 5 inches off the benches, put them back together like you wouldn't even know it, and now they fit on the thing. So, thank you to the iron workers. Phil Borchert and Borchert Fence, they donated that wrought iron fence out there that's 70 years old. They installed it for very cheap, and I asked him for a price on a fence for the back, and he said he'll donate the fence in the back. So just the amount of donations and generosity is amazing. Olana Monument, that monument is 7,000 pounds, the rock. That was quite a sight, them delivering that. But they put in the benches. They came out and they told me that Jim Milano donated the 2 benches. So that's about half off of the original price that we had. Myers Design did the Browns play set. They did a great job. And they also, I forced them into picking up those rocks with me and putting them on there. So they weren't real happy about it, but I had a gun on my hip and they couldn't say no. Home Depot has been awesome. Lisa Fox is here. I cleaned them out on 2x4s a couple times for these forms for the concrete, and they donated those. They just gave me a lawnmower, a weed eater, and a leaf blower to do all the yard work, which Kim is allowing me to store in her garage, so she's awesome. That's great. Davis Tree sold us all the trees for a discounted price. Margaret Bernstein, WKYC Channel 3, bought those 2 benches over there, so there's now the WKYC Reading Garden. And Margaret is a big proponent and very much into literacy, so thank you very much. Tom Stuckert, Integrated Restoration, Bob Wadden from City Electric, John Guess and Michelle DeBach, Paul and Sally Bosley, they all donated benches, bought the benches for this. Paul Bosley was my son's high school math teacher, and he called me and said, "I want to help." And I said, "Well, give me money for a bench," and he did it. Black Shield Police Association bought one of those benches, which is awesome. Cargill Salt, Dan Blasey, the guy who gave me the rocks in front, he works now for Cargill. He talked to them, and they came out and met with me. They bought 2 picnic tables that have not been installed yet, but there'll be 2 big metal picnic tables. And on top of that, they're gonna come out once a year and they're gonna help do a cleanup of the lot. And so every spring we'll have a cleanup. So as you can see, well over 200 people built this park. And to me, that's what makes this project incredible. Not only honoring a hero, but the community all together pitching in to do it. So Owens family, thank you very much. I got one present for the Owens family. So I'm a big, I like to thank people. That's my job, thanking people. And one way to thank them, and I have these coins. So I made a coin for Derek Owens. It's a memorial coin that I got 50 coins for the family to pass out. So it's got Derek's likeness on them. It's got Owens Park and the address, which is pretty cool. Another crazy thing I did was, so when the first load of concrete came, I took a bunch of cups and I filled them with concrete because I wanted the first pour. And so I made one for the immediate family. It's got Derek's his coin on it, and you could all go home with a piece of the park. So that's for you guys. One more thing, and Chandler, come on up real quick. So I asked, whenever I get in a conversation with Kim, she makes me do something. So she had another great idea. We were on Channel 3, We the People, and Kim, we're just talking. She says, you know what we should do? We should dedicate the street to Derek. And so I called Jay Westbrook, got some ideas. I then called Councilman Johnson. He said, absolutely, without a doubt. And now legislation will pass tomorrow or Monday, I believe. All our councilmen, I'm hoping you guys. I might have jumped the gun. You can't say no now. But so anyway, from East 102nd to MLK will be named Derek Owens Way.
Wait, hold it.
I think that's pretty cool.
That
And
is awesome.
I have another one coming for you too. So you have one, and then I have one to the parents. So
Awesome.
not many kids have a dad with a So hey, thank you everybody. Next we have Pastor Davidson, who's going to come up and he's going to say a prayer.
I am Deacon Elder Wayne Owens told me to mention the church that I am from, and that is the historic Antioch Baptist Church here in the city of Cleveland, Ohio, where Wayne Owens is a deacon, and I call him my elder, the old man. If you would bow with me for a prayer of dedication. Eternal and all-wise God, we're so grateful for the privilege of coming together on this day. God, that you are able to take senseless tragedy and turn it into a salvation testimony. And so today, God, we dedicate this park back to you. This is your space. Derek is your child. And we ask that this space would always be a place of hope, of community, a place of peace, and a place that reflects the very best of the divinely woven tapestry of humanity. We thank you for the life and the legacy of Officer Derek Owens, whose service and sacrifice leave for us a model, a legacy, an inheritance for which we can never repay. We thank you for this family, this assembly of friends. We pray that this space would always be a space where we would be able to feel the vibrancy of Derek's unique spirit. We ask that you would cover us and that all of our efforts this day certainly met with your divine approval. We thank you for the visionaries, the benefactors, those who have put in countless hours and efforts to help make this day a reality. We pray your continued blessings upon them, on us,
as we strive to serve together, to work together, to laugh together, to pray together, and to cry together. Together, we are able to turn dungeons of desperation into oases of hope. And let this be that kind of place. We ask all of this in that name that is above every name, the name of Derrick's Savior and your Son, Jesus the Christ. Amen. Amen.
All right, thank you very much for coming. One thing I didn't leave you with, and my father died about 20 years ago, and before he died, he gave me a quote, and it was actually Anthony Quinn that said this. He said, "When I die, bury me under a tree where my children can play and my wife can sit and read a book." And when my dad died, I buried him under my magnolia tree, his ashes. And I have a bench under there that my mother and can sit and read a book and reflect. And it reminds me of this park. And I'm hoping that Derrick's spirit is somewhere buried under here, under one of these 22 trees that I planted or had planted. And we have a place for our children to play, and we have plenty of benches for you to sit and read. And so thank you very much. Thank you for being here and sharing this experience with me and for all our officers, and I appreciate you guys.